to the inaugural episode of The Beach Buzz. My name is Georgette Dumont, and I am the host of this show. Each week, I highlight what is happening in Jax Beach and how it will impact you. For the inaugural episode, I figured I would introduce myself to you by reciting the speech that I gave during my campaign kickoff on July 30th at the GOAT. I was hoping to use the actual speech from that night, but the recording quality suffered from the background noise. We did have a great turnout, and if you were not able to make it, I'm sorry that you missed it, but I do hope you'll learn more about me in this episode. My name is Georgette Dumont, and my husband and I moved to Jacksonville Beach in 2010 after we had a great opportunity to be able to work at UNF. So let me give you a little bit of background on me. I was brought up in Massachusetts, not the Kennedy part of Massachusetts, but more what I consider or what's called the armpit of Massachusetts. I was 15 minutes from Providence, Rhode Island, and about an hour south of Boston. My parents worked in factories. These are textile mills. My dad was a typesetter, and my mom made curtains. And I used to think that when growing up, I was lower middle class. But then after I met my husband and he got to see where I was brought up, he's like, no, you weren't lower middle class. You were just poor. As you can tell, my husband knows how to say the most endearing things. I bring this up because my parents instilled in my brother and I a couple key values. The first was the importance of hard work. You say you're going to do something, you do it, and you do it well. If your name is attached to it, you should be able to be proud of what it is that you did. The second one is education. And they really stressed the importance of education. It was because of that focus on education that I not only graduated high school, that I went on and got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and then a PhD. And I didn't do that right out of high school. I did go to college right out of high school, where I quickly ran out of money to stay in college. And then I worked at a variety of jobs in the meantime, hoping that one day I'd go back to college. So after a long stint in hospitality, in both front of the house and back of the house positions, as well as regular retail and odds and end jobs, including working for a trucking company, I went back to college at the age of 25. And I can tell you that when you go back as an adult student or what they consider a non-traditional student, you have more experiences to apply to what it is that you're learning day in, day out. The third value that was really instilled in us was the importance of engaging in your local government. Where I grew up, the form of government that we have is called town hall government. We, the citizens, are the legislature. We have a board of selectmen who act as the executive branch, and the citizens, all the voters in town, were the legislature. Every year, there'd be 2, maybe 3 meetings for the citizens to vote on how the tax dollars are going to be spent. In other words, we voted on our town budget. This is the purest form of direct democracy. I am sure that my parents would have liked nothing better than to stay home after working all day in a hot factory and just relax. But they would go off to town meeting to do their civic responsibility. What I learned from that was that being engaged in your government can take you outside your comfort zone. It can make you do things that you'd rather not be doing, but that someone has to do. In this case, my parents. Over time, I've come to realize that these 3 values are my core: hard work, education, and citizen engagement in government. They led me to get my bachelor's degree in communication with a minor in political science, my master's degree in public administration, and my PhD in political science with a focus on public and nonprofit management. So I did what most people who get their PhD do. I entered academia. And when my husband and I saw positions open at the University of North Florida, we jumped at the opportunity. So that's how I got to Florida. But what have I been doing since I've been here? This brings me back to that citizen engagement in government. For 6 years, I served on the Jacksonville Beach Planning Commission, where I fought overdevelopment in our neighborhoods. I am not anti-development, but I am for smart development, not overdevelopment. I left the Planning Commission when I was elected to be on City Council in 2018. While on council, I was involved in the city's strategic plan, its mission, and its vision. The vision is a vibrant coastal community that embraces the beach life. Who doesn't want to live in that city? I was also involved with the first full charter review in decades. While on council, I also pushed for a full assessment of our city's parks and what was located in each one of those parks. This was to make sure that we could better understand how they're used, which equipment needed to be replaced, and at what times. An outgrowth of that parks assessment is being seen today with the opening of the south end of Gonzales Park, as well as some new amenities that are in the newly named Fountain View Park. 2 years ago, I decided I wasn't going to run again for city council. I was taking on a new leadership role at the university, as well as new leadership roles within my field of study. But after watching what's been happening over the last year and a half, I started to step back from some of these additional leadership roles, not the one at the university, but others. I did not like seeing the direction the city was heading in, and so I knew that I was going to need to allocate more time to my civic responsibilities. Earlier this year, I was working with another small coastal city on its goal setting. I was working with its commission, and one of the things that they said really hit me in the gut. When describing their concerns about overdevelopment, they said what we say up here a lot, that we don't want to be like Daytona Beach. However, they went on and said, we don't even want to be like Jacksonville Beach. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be the poster child of what other cities do not want to be. I see our city developing into what I consider a regional drinking mall, and that's welcomed an increase in crime as well, which we've all seen. The individuals causing this crime aren't our visitors, they're not our residents, but they are people who feel comfortable blending into that party-like scene that we've created in our downtown area. This increase in crime isn't good for our residents, and it's not good for our local businesses either, because people don't feel safe going downtown. This is something that we need to nip in the bud because we want those newer businesses to succeed in our downtown area, like Luca Mare's, the Greek coffee/donut/gelato shop on First Street, or some of our higher-end restaurants like the Goat, Oku, or the Oaxaca Club. In order for these businesses to survive and to thrive, we need to make sure that we create an atmosphere in our downtown area that is welcoming, safe, and secure. There is no one thing that is going to accomplish this, so we should use a holistic approach to deal with this situation. One piece is to ensure that our police department has the resources that it needs to be successful. Another piece is to enhance the visual appeal of that area, having the mulch match, making sure that the place looks inviting and it feels inviting. And another piece is to stop turning that area into a regional drinking mall by attracting more diversity in the businesses that are opening downtown. With regard to becoming a regional drinking mall, a big concern of mine stems from the charter review we conducted a couple years ago. As we reviewed the charter, 2 issues were put in what we called the parking lot. One of them was height, and the other one was the number of bar licenses, 4 COP licenses, available in the city. The current council already approved changing the height limit and put that before the voters, which the voters soundly defeated. That still leaves the number of liquor licenses to be decided on, the second item in the parking lot. Given that my opponent has repeatedly stated that this needs to be revisited because it's based off of an old population count, I am pretty sure this will come across council for approval as well, which is one more step into turning us into that regional drinking mall and creating an environment that is more amenable to crime. We may all have different interpretations as to what family-friendly means, but we know that is not it. I have been meeting with a lot of people, and there is this sense of defeatism that repeats itself in these different conversations. That kind of makes me sad. I tell them about my vision for the city and the future of Jacksonville Beach, and there's this sense that there's nothing that they can do anymore. It's too late. It's gone too far. We can't stop it. Well, we can. You have been telling council what you've been wanting at different city council meetings. This is with regard to development. This is with regard to the height limit. And this may end up being with regard to number of liquor licenses as well. I sat through those council meetings where residents showed up, begged and pleaded with council not to approve the PUD for North Beach townhomes. This project is going to be built on the whole block just south of Gonzales Park that is also under reconstruction. This development will have 34 townhouses, and the people who lived in that area turned out to that meeting, clearly stating the negative impact that that development could have and will have on their neighborhood. Did council listen? No. It was approved. I'm not surprised given that that developer had donated thousands in campaign contributions. To me, it sounds like the council was listening more to their donors than they were to their voters. We saw this again with the attempt to change the height limit. I don't know who's behind the push to increase the height limit, but it was clear that council was not listening to you. What made it worse was the process that they followed. They voted on it the night before the deadline to get it on the May 2023 ballot, an election with a historically low turnout at the beach. We were told that it needed to get on that ballot because it was time sensitive, and all that we were waiting for was to know whether to put 35 feet or 55 feet on the RFP, and it would be going out the door the next day. That RFP still has not gone out. I'm running because it doesn't need to be like this. I will say the one positive from that experience is that we all came together. It didn't matter if your politics were far left, far right, or somewhere in the middle. We came together because we knew that that was not what we wanted for our city. So when I hear that sense of defeatism, I point out that we can fight back, and we can fight back successfully. We fought back on that height limit, and it was defeated 82 to 18%. I'd call that a win. This election is a referendum on our current city council. Everyone who voted for that height limit increase is on the ballot. You will have a choice, and you can let them know how you feel. Are you more concerned now than 4 years ago about what is happening in your neighborhood? Are you happier now than you were 4 years ago about the direction of our city? Do you feel safer today in Jacks Beach than you did 4 years ago? This is why this election is so important. If you feel like I do, I'm asking for your support. Running against an incumbent is difficult. I have already been outraised 2-1, much of it coming from insurance companies and developers outside of Jacksonville Beach, and I'm pretty sure their interests differ from yours. When I tell people that I'm running for mayor, they ask, who are you running against? When I say my opponent's name, they're like, she's still on council? She's not termed out yet? No, she's not. She's been on that dais for 12 years, the first 8 as a council member and the last 4 as mayor. Over that time, she has made a lot of connections and has strengthened her political network. I will not outraise her, not that we can't try, but my goal is to have broad support from the Jacks Beach voters. Donations in any amount are greatly appreciated, and if you can't donate at this time, I understand. I get it. Times are hard for a lot of you, but I do ask, if you are able, please donate to this campaign so I can get information out there to let people know about me, why I'm running, and what my vision is for this city. A city where your elected officials listen to and respect you. A city that engages in smart development, not overdevelopment. A city that focuses on safety and improving our quality of life. And a city where the government is responsive to you, the taxpayer. My name is Georgette Dumont. I am running for mayor of Jacksonville Beach, and I'm asking for your support. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Beach Buzz. Next week, I'll go over the city's budget and what some of the big ticket items are for this upcoming fiscal year. Until then, have a great week. The preceding episode is a paid electioneering communication paid for by the campaign to elect Georgette Dumont, Mayor of Jacksonville Beach.